A good number of authors modify their names or create new ones altogether when publishing books. For some, it distances their famous reputations from their personal lives. For instance, Lewis Carroll's real name was actually Charles Lutwidge Dodgson, George Orwell was actually named Eric Arthur Blair, and Mark Twain was really Samuel Clemens. For others, it helps market their books. Many women authors throughout history took on men's names for a chance to be published. But in this video, we're looking at 4 already successful authors who purposefully took on pseudonyms in order to mask their identities, and were successful under these new aliases. 1. J.K. Rowling. While the name J.K. itself is a pen name Joanne Rowling took in order to help the Harry Potter books appeal more to male readers, when the series was finished and she moved on to other projects, she took on another name, Robert Galbraith. Under this pen name, Rowling has gone on to author the successful Cormoran Strike detective series, though her identity was discovered after the first book was published in 2013. Rowling had originally submitted the book to her editor without divulging her identity, and the publishing company was just as in the dark later on. The intent this time was to separate the new series, which is intended for adult audiences, from the Harry Potter series, and to allow the books to be judged on their own merit rather than the famous author's name. The game was up when the first book of this series, The Cuckoo's Calling, was analyzed and similarities found in writing styles. Although she was found out early in the process of penning the new series, Rowling continues to use the pen name for the books, which have all been bestsellers and turned into a TV series. 2. Anne Rice. The Interview with the Vampire author saw little success with her subsequent novels in the early 1980s, and decided to return to the erotic fiction she'd worked with in the 60s. She adopted the pen name A.N. Roquelaure, and wrote the Sleeping Beauty series, a successful saga in the erotica genre. Rice has said, "These were not Anne Rice books and I did not want anyone buying them by mistake, thinking they would get an Anne Rice book." She later wrote more books under her own name, including sequels to Interview with the Vampire, forming the Vampire Chronicles. Over the years she has published books as Anne Rice, A.N. Roquelaure, and Anne Rampling in genres including supernaturalism, erotica, and religion. 3. Agatha Christie. Known as the Queen of Crime, Agatha Christie built a legacy from detective novels and series that led her to become the best-selling fiction writer of all time. But when she decided to follow storylines outside of the mystery genre, she adopted the name Mary Westmacott, Mary being her middle name and Westmacott being a family surname. The public was told immediately the name was the pseudonym of a famous author, but they weren't told which one. Christie maintained her secrecy as Westmacott for 20 years, during which time she published 6 novels under the name in addition to the ones she published under her own name. The books sold well, and were actually generally better received by critics than her own stories. 4. Stephen King. The King of Horror has perused into different genres occasionally, but when he took up the name Richard Bachman, it was mainly for the experiment of seeing if readers would still buy his books if they didn't have his name on them. It was also frowned upon at that time for an author to publish more than one book a year and risk cannibalizing their own books, so adopting a pen name was a way for King to avoid that. But he stated that it was also an attempt to make sense of his career and see if his success was attributed to talent or luck. He did little marketing for the books and tried to, quote, load the dice against Bachman. He even included a picture of Richard Bachman in the book covers, though the photo was actually a friend of King's literary agent. King began using the pseudonym in 1977 and was found out in 1985 by a bookstore clerk who found similarities between the book styles and did some additional digging. The author felt that he was outed too early, however, to have his luck versus talent question answered. For instance, while some of his Bachman books like The Long Walk and The Running Man were popular, his book, Thinner, sold about 28,000 copies when attributed to Bachman and 10 times as many when readers found out the novel was King's. Well, those are 4 authors who had a successful writing career under different names. Let us know of any others or fun facts about these ones in the comments, and don't forget to follow us on social media.